All right, welcome back to the One Barn Lupagus Show. In this episode, I am going to debate with myself if the 2019 or the 2020 wide receiver core is better. Which one would we rather have? Did we get better in 2020? Did we get worse? Did we stay the same? A lot of big changes. Even heading into this offseason, when we still had Diggs, wide receiver was still a very large need for the Vikings. And then, of course, the Diggs trade threw a big old wrench into that. Before we get into that, subscribe to the channel, One Barn Lupagus Show. Like the videos. We are here every damn day, but let's get into it. Also, in the comments below, just put 2019 or 2020. Which wide receiver core would you rather have? All right. Before we get into 2020, let's just take a quick stroll down memory lane to 2019. We know what we had: Diggs, Thielen, one of the best wide receiver cores in the NFL. If anybody tries to dispute that, they are just talking out of their ass. But we were very top heavy and we had little to no depth. BC Johnson, 7th round guy, added some surprising depth. Great find in round 7, almost 300 yards. I think he had 3 touchdowns, 30-some catches. So that was an unexpected surprise. We started the season with just 4 receivers. So Diggs, Thielen, BC, and Chad Beebe. Chad Beebe, ankle injury in November, ended his season. And then we sprinkled in a few guys, Treadwell, Hollins, I believe, and just really not much. So 2019, very top heavy, not much depth at all. That's why receiver was such a huge need. Let's fast forward. Let's go to 2020. Like I said, even with Diggs, wide receiver was a big old fat need for us. And shocker alert, we traded Diggs, which left us with pretty much Adam Thielen and not much else. BC Johnson. I will give BC Johnson some love there. I keep leaving him out. We went ahead in free agency, signed Tajay Sharp, wide receiver from Tennessee Titans, coming off his rookie contract. As a rookie, he put up some good numbers. What we have in Tajay Sharp is a very good receiver. I won't say very good. I'll say a good receiver. He runs good routes. He's got good hands. He's got good speed. He doesn't really have anything great or anything that's really bad about him. So what Tajay Sharp is, in my mind, is a 1-year contract, a guy that's going to be hungry, a guy that's going to be come out in here for a prove-it deal, looking to show that he's better than what the Titans did to him. Titans brought him in and then drafted a bunch of young guys and kind of pushed him out. So Tajay Sharp's going to be hungry. I'm looking forward to see what he brings. Realistically, Tajay Sharp is a number 3 receiver, maybe even number 4. Him and BC Johnson will be competing for that 3-4 spot. Adds good depth to go with BC. Fast forward again to the draft. Big old splash in round 1, Justin Jefferson. He is going to be handed that number 2 spot. I'm not even going to try to compare him to Stephon Diggs. It's not fair. It's stupid. The guy's never played it down. Stephon Diggs is one of the better receivers in the NFL. So as our number 2, there is definitely going to be a drop-off there initially, and we will see how that pans out. So let's just look at our 2020 wide receiver depth chart so far. So we got Adam Thielen, year older. Some might say a year wiser. Some might say a year slower. But Adam Thielen still has some gas left in the tank. He's still going to produce for another couple of years. Still one of the better receivers in the NFL. Justin Jefferson, a little bit of the unknown, but we got to be realistic. He is a wide receiver rookie. They have ups and downs. I'm sure he'll have some big games. I'm sure he'll have some games that he just completely disappears. And then you go to 3 and 4, BC Johnson, Tajay Sharp. They'll be battling for that spot. And then 5, we got KJ Osborne, 5th round pick from Miami. This guy, when they drafted him, everyone's kind of like, what the hell just happened? But the more I watch of him, the more I look into him. He's not just a return guy. He's not just a special teams guy. He was on a Miami team with a shitty offense, and he had like 500-some yards, whatever. But when you watch him, he's actually a pretty gritty receiver. Good hands, can make some tough catches. They did some gimmicky plays with him at Miami, so there might be a little bit of fun to KJ Osborne. I'm more excited about him than I was when they drafted him. Let's put it that way. I think he has a very, very good chance of making this final 53. And then depending how many receivers they keep, I already listed 5. You get into the Chad Beebes, you get into the Hollins, you get into the Davises. Dylan Mitchell's, and we'll see how that pans out. But none of those guys are really going to come in unless there's just a shock that they just whooped ass this offseason to really battle for like the fourth, third receiver. So what we're looking at is we're comparing 2019 to 2020. So 2019, we kept 4. I'm just keeping it to those 4. Thielen, Diggs, Beebe, BC Johnson. Comparing it to 2020, where we got Thielen, Justin Jefferson, Tajay Sharp, BC Johnson, and KJ Osborne. So which one is better? Did we improve? Did we get worse? We got to be realistic here, guys. If this was who's going to be better long term, 2020, no doubt about it. But 2019, we had Diggs and Thielen. Yes, Diggs had some off the field issues, not off the field issues, but he was being a little drama queen on the sidelines. Thielen was hurt, but overall, that 1-2 punch, you can't. It's tough to beat. So even with the lack of depth in 2019. I'm giving it to the 2019. I think we took a step back on firepower in 2020. Yes, we improved in depth, and long-term we're going to be sitting better. But just strictly comparing the two, I got to give the championship belt to 2019. We took a step back, but overall we'll have a better receiving core long-term. So that's my final. Let me know in the comments, which receiving core would you rather have, 2019 or 2020?